Hello, and welcome to Curious Appetite. Thank you for joining. I'm your host, Nola Man, and we're going to take a little journey to the origin of some of your favorite foods. Today's item, French toast. Yes, French toast. That bit of gastronomical yumminess that is bread dipped in egg and fried is definitely an old dish. But what everybody's thinking, is it really French? Well, kinda, depending on who you ask. But I will start you out with this. There's definitely some evidence that, in fact, it even predates the founding of France. According to Apicius, also known as De Re Culinaria, or literally on the subject of cooking, is a collection of Roman cookery recipes. Now, this collection of recipes dates all the way back from the early 5th century AD. Early as the age of the Roman Empire, their style of French toast, called pain dulcis, Romans would soak bread in milk and sometimes also egg mixture and then fry it in oil or butter. In the 15th century, the English court of Henry V had their version of French toast called pain perdu, or lost bread. Lost bread was referring to the old stale bread that you might throw away. At the time, they would take it and soak it in the mixture of milk and egg, soften it up, and then fry it. Now, if you were in France today, their version of pain perdu is what the French call our French toast. Now, it may also be called pain doré, or golden bread, if you were in Canada. So when does it appear in the U.S.? Well, the phrase French toast first appeared in print in the Encyclopedia of American Food and Drink in 1871. It is also known by a variety of other names, including German toast, eggy bread, French fried bread, gypsy toast, Spanish toast, nun's toast, and my favorite, the poor knights of Windsor. So if the French did not invent our version of French toast, then who did? According to legend, it was an Albany, New York innkeeper named Joseph French. He created the dish in 1724 and advertised it as French toast. Allegedly, he was grammatically inept and just forgot the apostrophe. As with all food in America, we need to celebrate and have its own special day. So, therefore, National French Toast Day, November 28th. As much as we love to order French toast in a restaurant, it just doesn't seem to quite turn out as well making it at home. There are a few things you can do to remedy this. According to Bon Appetit, these are the top 7 reasons why they don't turn out as well. 1. Adding too much dairy and sugar to the custard. Don't go overboard with the dairy. If there's too much, the egg and the mixture won't cook, meaning wet, soggy bread. You want the French toast to be dry on the surface with slightly crisp edges. As for the sugar, if you're adding maple syrup, honey, or dusting the toast with powdered sugar on the plate, you don't need the custard to be too sweet. Number 2, not mixing the custard thoroughly. You don't want pieces of egg white showing up on your perfectly brown slices. Make sure to whisk the custard until the dairy, eggs, and spices, if you're using them, are well combined. Number 3, not choosing the right bread. French toast is like bread pudding. It soaks up a custard for a creamy texture on the inside and a slightly crunchy texture on the outside. If the bread is very thin, it'll be too flimsy to hold together when dipped in the custard. If it's too thick, it'll never cook to the center. So the ideal thickness of the slice of French toast is between 3/4 and 1 inch thick. Also, pick the right kind of bread that's both spongy and sturdy enough not to fall apart during cooking. Brioche, challah, or a Pullman loaf are ideal. Number 4, under-soaking the bread. Lots of home cooks quickly dip each side of the bread in the custard before throwing it in the pan. The bread has to soak in the egg mixture. You want it to penetrate the bread for a soft, custardy center. So if you're using a sturdy bread, you actually need to let it soak for like 15 or 20 minutes. Number 5, using too much heat or not enough. French toast is not a steak. You don't want to scorch the surface. Since there is sugar in the egg mixture, the custard, it'll caramelize and burn very quickly. Plus, the inside won't cook entirely. And you'll be left with a burnt yet soggy piece of French toast. Conversely, if you cook it on a very low temperature, the bread will dry out, and you won't have that nice soft center that makes French toast so decadent. So cook 3 to 4 minutes per side over medium heat. Number 6, not preheating the pan. If the pan isn't hot enough when you put in your first slice, the custard spreads out, forming a foot on the bottom of the French toast. When the pan is hot enough, the batter won't have time to seep, and the custard will start cooking as soon as it hits the pan. And number 7, only using butter. Give the pan a light coating of neutral oil and butter. This will help prevent the butter from burning, and make sure to wipe out the pan after each batch. Then use a fresh combination of neutral oil and butter again. Otherwise, the butter will burn and little black bits will stick to the next batch of French toast. Looking for a creative and amazing French toast and need an excuse to go to Hawaii? Check out the menu item at Kona Head Cafe on Oahu. Their version starts with a cornflake mixture as the coating, paired with billionaire bacon. That's where you take bacon and caramelize it with brown sugar and add some pepper flakes. And then it's topped with a scoop of frosted flake gelato, served on a plate lined in black pepper maple syrup. You can't make this stuff up, and don't knock it till you've tried it. So, since we are on the topic of French toast, I would be remiss if I didn't cover one of my favorite sandwiches and a bit of a cousin, I would call, to French toast, the Monte Cristo. If you haven't had one, you are missing out. Not for the light eater. The Monte Cristo is essentially a grilled cheese with ham and turkey, but dipped in an egg mixture and then fried. Serve dusted in powdered sugar with a side of jam. A bit sweet, a bit savory, and utterly delicious. Now, Monte Cristo sandwiches are definitely American origin. Well, sort of, depending on who you ask. Some sources credit the sandwich's invention to the Monte Cristo Hotel in Everett, Washington. Turns out that this could be a bit suspect, since that hotel wasn't founded until 1925, well after the first mentions of the sandwich. But then again, that hotel was itself named after the Monte Cristo mining region of the Cascade Mountains, so maybe it goes back even further in that area. I was able to find an advertisement for them dated 1924. Sandwiches, Monte Cristo, 50 cents. Now, the earliest known recipe to date comes from none other than the LA Times from May 24th, 1924. And I quote, "Cover 6 slices of sandwich bread with a slice of American full cream cheese. Cover the cream with slices of boiled ham. Cover with slices of bread. Tie with white string, dip in beaten egg, and fry a nice brown on both sides in hot butter. Place on hot plate, remove the string, and serve." Some sources speculate that Monte Cristo sandwiches were based on, pardon my French, croque-monsieur sandwiches. Now, French croque-monsieur sandwiches were first served in a cafe in Paris in 1910. However, the earliest reference in America for croque-monsieur is from 1943, 20 years after the first reference to Monte Cristo sandwiches back in 1923. So, who's to say? Now, we have the sandwich, and it's on the menus, and it's clearly out there, present in the West. So why all of a sudden, in the late 60s, does it just take off, both nationally and internationally? One word: Disneyland. Yes, Disneyland, or more specifically, the Blue Bayou restaurant. The restaurant was built within the same show building that houses part of the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction, located in New Orleans Square. And although you're seated in a large enclosed building, the diners experience the illusion of being in an outdoor restaurant at nighttime. The effect is achieved through the use of a dark and distant ceiling air conditioning and carefully coordinated lighting. The theming is intensified by the sounds of crickets and frogs, the meandering glow of fireflies, and projection effects that imitate the night sky. You're in New Orleans Square, so you have Louisiana, so you have French Cajun influence. The Monte Cristo ends up on the original menu of the restaurant and has been there ever since it opened in 1967. Thousands of people from all over the country and the world experience their first Monte Cristo sandwich at Disneyland and then are on the lookout for it when they return to their own towns. So does the Monte Cristo have its own celebrated day? Why, yes, it is observed on September 17th. It would be awfully expensive to purchase a ticket to Disneyland just to eat a Monte Cristo sandwich, but if you are in Southern California, it is more cost-effective to get your Monte Cristo fix at Cantor's Deli. They have been the go-to Jewish deli since they opened in 1931. In fact, in 2021, the Financial Times ranked it as one of the 50 greatest food stores in the world. Since the deli never closes, it became popular with movie stars and especially musicians finishing up their last set after hours. There you have it, French toast with a side of Monte Cristo sandwiches. So that's it for this episode of Curious Appetite. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm Nola Man, and until next time, stay hungry.